Hello my fellow family foodie friends, welcome back to another week of What's for Dinner, where I share with you 4 dinners that I made last week and my contribution to a family meal. I have never made lentil soup before, but this was delicious. I actually really enjoy getting lentil soup when it's available, like at a restaurant or in a cafeteria, and my first time making it was not a disappointment. You guys know I love making soups, especially in the cold, and I am just prepping the vegetables to get them into the Instant Pot, which is where I chose to make this. Okay, so I prepped the soup ingredients. I have 2 stalks of carrots chopped up here, a large white onion, 3 stalks of celery chopped up. I have 2 teaspoons of thyme, 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning, a teaspoon of kosher salt, a teaspoon of black pepper, and 2 teaspoons of minced garlic. I did an entire stalk of a leek. I didn't do the leaves at all. I substituted that for the spinach in this recipe, and I'm actually using red lentils instead of green lentils, 1.5 cups here. And I'm gonna go ahead and get all the vegetables sauteing with a little olive oil. The recipe didn't call for that, but I love the smell and I wanna get it started that way. And then once those are sauteing a little bit, we'll go ahead and add in the spices, the lentils, the broth, and a can of tomatoes. We're adding in the onion.
Okay.
Carrots. Celery. And leeks. Ready?
Yeah.
Now we're adding in the can of tomatoes.
I don't like tomatoes, so that's why I'm not doing this.
The salt, pepper, thyme, and Italian seasoning. This garlic. The lentils. The broth. Okay, so this is going high pressure for 18 minutes, and once it's done, we're going to do a quick release. There's Calvin eating his celery left over. You liked it? Did you help me stir and add ingredients? So it's 15 minutes past, pressure is released. Okay, so I gave us a nice stir and it's all set. It's actually really delicious. And I'm putting my Instant Pot lid on until we eat dinner. I will link how I make these naans in the air fryer below if you're interested in step-by-step, but they're a favorite side around here. Okay, so I set up a salad station. We have Parmesan, grated cheese. We actually have the Parmesan Romano over there. Italian dressing, ranch dressing, whole pepperoncinis, banana pepper slices, sharp cheddar cheese shredded, croutons, real bacon bits, feta cheese, again the Romano Parmesan, and pepitas, which are like pumpkin seeds. So it's kind of like a build yourself a salad. We have my beautiful serving bowl here full of the 8 mini naan flatbreads that I've seasoned, and they're ready to eat. Perfect companions to a lentil soup. This is super hearty. It smells really good. It definitely tastes better than it looks, I can promise you that. But this is our perfect soup salad breadstick type dinner on a snowy cold winter's night. We are having pancakes this night, and it calls for buttermilk, which I never have on hand. I always make it. So you add a tablespoon of lemon juice, and then you fill up above that to the line for a cup to make a total of 1 cup. So it's milk with a tablespoon of lemon juice, and you let it sit for at least 10 minutes. My husband's making the fruit sauce. I didn't get much of that. I don't really record him much. You guys know he's not the biggest fan of being included in my videos, but he likes to make the fruit sauce. He made strawberry rhubarb. I will link below to the recipe that he follows. Actually, I'll probably type it up because there is no link. And I ended up using a box of pancake mix just for our first few pancakes, and then I made homemade ones with the buttermilk. I just was trying to get that box out of my pantry, so between the two we had plenty. I mixed my dry ingredients, and then I'm mixing the wet ingredients, and then you mix them together, and I will link below to the exact recipe I used for the homemade buttermilk pancakes. I think that these actually taste better than the boxed, which, you know, box versus homemade, it's not surprising homemade tastes better, but my son was very helpful this night. And then I'm using my electric skillet, which I love to make pancakes on. I love to make breakfast items in general on here, and I just make them 5 at a time. I add them in my little serving dish, and then generally we try to either keep these warm or my kids will start eating because they're so excited for pancakes while I finish up making them. And the first batch didn't turn the best, so I switched spatulas and just kept going on repeat, and I will spare you guys watching me make the next 40 pancakes. And whenever I have leftovers, I love to stick them in the freezer. If you don't do that, you need to, because it makes for really easy breakfast in the mornings. And then of course I made a pound of bacon in the oven, and this is what we had: strawberry rhubarb pancakes and bacon. Yum, yum, yum. Okay, so here's what I'm putting into the salsa. I have lots of garlic, a handful of cilantro cleaned and stemmed. I have cumin, salt, and sugar, an entire onion, an entire jalapeno, and I did take the seeds out, a large can of diced tomatoes, or you could use whole tomatoes. This is the one I could find. And then 2 cans basically of Rotel, or the Casa Mamita version from Aldi. So this is all going to go into the food processor, and then it will refrigerate until we're ready to eat it. I have a recipe video on just this. This is my adaptation of Ree Drummond's Pioneer Woman restaurant salsa. It's super good, and I get compliments on this whenever I make it for guests or at parties, and it is a favorite. I absolutely love making this, and it's super easy. I definitely recommend you give it a whirl. The food processor is a must, but if you have a food processor, it makes it so easy. So good. Spicy, salty, slightly sweet, delicious. So I have 7 potatoes here. I'm going to chop them up and spice them for spicy potato tacos. I have olive oil, thank you, chili powder, paprika, garlic salt, and onion powder. I kind of change it up. I don't really measure, to be honest with you, but you need a lot of paprika and a lot of chili to get the red and the brightness, and the spicy really comes from the sriracha ranch mix that we put on top of this. This is my birthday girl's dinner request. She's 10, so now she gets to eat 10 tacos. As I mentioned, I do not measure out the paprika and the chili powder and the rest of the seasonings. I just kind of go for it, and you just want it to be super fragrant and very red. So I pulled this out of the freezer. I froze it a while ago when it was on clearance. Pulled it out yesterday. It's perfect to go today. Queso Blanco dip. I gave her a choice between the queso I make with Belvita or this, and she wanted that. And then we have our toppings for tacos. I'm about to make spicy ranch with sriracha mixed with ranch. Two of my favorite things, tacos and dips. You can't go wrong with this, in my opinion. Okay, so in here I have Worcestershire sauce, soy sauce, basil, parsley, garlic, and I'm gonna just olive oil. I'm using one of these bag stands, clips the bag. It really works well. They're sold in a 2-pack on Amazon, super inexpensive, but if you like to marinate, I really highly recommend getting these. It's easy to just take out of the stand now. I have my steak all cubed in there. Slowly get rid of the air, and then I just mash it together And I either let this marinate overnight, or like I'm doing this right now, it's 8 in the morning. I just forgot to do it last night, to be honest. And just get in there, get it all broken up, and I bought a thinner cut of steak this time, so the pieces will be smaller and they'll cook really quickly. But we love steak bites. One thing I did in this video is I really cut down on showing you guys my prep of vegetables. I feel like it gets really repetitive. Let me know if you missed that, but I feel like you guys kind of get the idea of chopping celery and onion. Okay, while that's sauteing, soon we'll add in the broth, and then we'll mix it with this and put it in the oven. We got this stuffing on clearance after Thanksgiving. Does anyone else do that? Purchase kind of holiday specials after the holiday to stock their cupboard? My husband bought this actually at Menards. He saw it on clearance, thought it looked good. So we're having that with our mashed potatoes in the Instant Pot. I've shared these a number of times, so I'm actually not sharing step by step, but basically I peeled potatoes, cover them with water, put it on high pressure for 8 minutes, and once it reaches high pressure, then it cooks for the 8 minutes, then you drain it, and I will show you guys what I add into the potatoes, but I didn't show peeling and all that junk. Once the stuffing was almost done in the oven, I went ahead and put my steak on the stove. It cooked very quickly because it's so thin, and especially if you don't like it well done like we do, it really doesn't take long. And then while that was on the stove, I added my milk, my onion powder, my garlic, salt, my pepper, and my butter to my mashed potatoes. I will link to the recipe I use for Instant Pot mashed potatoes. I've been making it so long that I don't follow the recipe anymore, but it's how I got started. So here's the finished stuffing. It was super bland, but gravy fixes everything, and stovetop is way better. So I'm making this as a part of a family dinner. This is like a Mediterranean, Middle Eastern tabouli. So I cooked 1 cup of quinoa. This is the cooked result. It's still cooling. It needs to be cool before you add it into the salad. Extra virgin olive oil, cracked pepper, cracked sea salt, 2 bunches of parsley, 4 green onion stalks. I like to get a mint plant, but they don't always have it in stores, so then I will just cut all of this up, a package from Walmart. An entire cucumber, 2 Roma tomatoes, and then a fresh squeezed lemon. And then it's the perfect salad to go on chicken shawarmas. So tabouli is not hard to make. It just takes a lot of time because you spend a lot of time dicing, cleaning, taking stems off the parsley. All of it is like basically a labor of love, but in the end it is so fresh and delicious, and I'm telling you, my 2 girls think this is one of their absolute favorite foods. You squeeze an entire lemon over it all. I drizzle it with olive oil. I crush salt. I crush pepper, and you give it a good stir, and it's so delicious and fresh. It's perfect. And you fold in the cold quinoa or wheat bulgur, whichever you make, and it is such a delicious meal. If you like these dinner ideas, I hope you check out a previous What's for Dinner that I made early on for more dinner inspiration. Thank you so much for watching. Chow down and ciao.